Hi, and welcome back to Our Life. I had to redo everything, because I forgot to save, so I will remember to save this time through. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start off, I think this is step 2, I'm not sure, my eye, hold on. Oh my goodness, okay. Okay, let's go. Oh, we're still on step 1? Or that was just a prologue, got it, okay. Excuse me. Alright. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you stayed put. The music's gonna drive me insane. Okay. Okay. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. She looks like, I'm so nervous. Is my house clean? Is she clean today? And this one's just like the chill one, you could tell, right? Like with like a little, is that a nose ring? Okay. Excited to see your new friend again, Evie? Yeah, I am.
How sweet.
How sweet. I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Yeah. With all the expiration an 8-year-old could muster, you looked at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom.
Okay.
Okay, attitude kid, we see. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then, on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Evie, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey, Peasy family! Thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him, and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Oh, is this because I said that I like jewelry? I wear crystal beaded bracelets, so we're gonna go with that. Let's go play in my room.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. Okay, this is my room. That's very scary. I don't like that at all. Let me just snoop in my own room. Did I draw these? I'm assuming I did. Nice. This is a pretty clean room, though. I love that they have like a little David. Hey, Kiki. Keeks. Stop with the licking. Okay. You led him to your room, puffing at your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. Oh, I'm proud, huh? There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, and a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had to show it. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Thank you. You're welcome. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You felt like it was awkward? I was a bit nervous? I would hope that he would be comfortable, so this is the closest one, maybe? You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hoped you didn't say anything bad about it. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected tucked away by your door. Is that what that is? That looks like crafts, though. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh,
That's me, a hoarder. Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I think so. Yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom still covered with specks of sand. Neat, this is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't saying it just to be nice or to be like Shiloh. Who's Shiloh? He actually meant it. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Shiloh's gonna be here today. Shiloh? Lizzie's friend. Or, like, her number one fan, I guess? Do I have to see him? It should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but, you know. Come on, check out my shelf some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that had washed ashore, and you pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you'd washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years, you'd learned some of their names. The collection was so huge, they had a lot of funny stories to tell. Or your voice faltered. I would say funny stories, probably. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, you found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such a dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. Great. Go for it. Bust it open. Bust it wide open. We could keep looking while we wait for Shiloh. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one's the best of them. You could have it, man. Go for it. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? Uh-huh. But I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. I would probably insist. I'd be like, yeah, no, you're fine. Go ahead, take it. You like it a lot. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still standing on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the door finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. You'll be alright. He's here, we can't tell him to leave. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. That's probably how he broke his arm. Motherfucker. Scrambling to think of something to say, you stepped forward, then paused. Yeah, do you want to break your other arm? Even I don't jump out of windows here, and this is my house. The distance from the first floor living room wasn't far, but you could tell it made Cove nervous anyway. He touched the cast on his arm. The wind had clearly released from his sails. I don't want to break any more bones. I don't think anybody wants to. Yeah. But I don't want to see him. I don't know him. I would encourage him. I think, maybe. Hey, if you do have a hard time with him, I'll tell him to leave. Is that okay? Okay. Shiloh poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he'd heard what you'd been saying or not, but you guessed that he had.
Hi.
Aw, cute. Okay. Hi, Evie. And hi, Cove? Cove shot you an uneasy glance. I'm Shiloh. It's nice to meet you. Yeah. You have a lot of freckles. Right, I do. What are you guys doing? We're looking at shells.
Can I do it too?
Okay. I like that they speak some for me. Cove shrugged and then looked back at your box of beach findings. What about that one? The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at beach things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. Hey, check this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color, kind of like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink's a nice color. Okay.
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
I feel there are better colors. Okay, no, there are. There aren't. I don't know. Whatever. I think the only colors that I don't love is like terracotta. It's like that weird baby vomit orange. And then like a pea green. Those are not my favorite things. Certain shades of yellow are really icky. Mostly the sickly baby food looking ones though. Not sure how to deal with the suddenly more awkward silence. You look back at your shells. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach, probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards you. There's a park? Yeah, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Evie? The park's fun. Yeah, I love it. I love parks. Yeah, it's right at the beach, so there's lots of stuff to do. And lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So, are we gonna go find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check out the park. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging in the jungle gym swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Evie! Shiloh! Hi! She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You wondered if you would leave too. Aw, she's cute patootie with a little sunflower dress. Who's that? She kind of, you know what, she kind of has like the whole Angelica vibe, right, from Rugrats. It's Cove, he's new.
Hi.
I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured wildly with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else can handle the job? Lizzie's the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Evie's age.
Yeah.
Yeah? Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. She is like Angelica. Okay. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh's just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try and steal your youth.
Oh.
Oh, okay, that's a little scary actually. He seems nervous already, you know? For a second it looks like he might cry and oh, poor baby. But something in his eyes shifted and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. That's not fair. Don't be rude. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Evie in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer's over. I don't want to go to a new school. I want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely you didn't really know. But she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. Goodness gracious, okay. You offered him a small smile, and that, at least, looked to reassure him some. Best of luck, bud. For the rest of summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Oh! Okay, so moment select. What does that mean? I have no idea. I feel like I would like fireflies, you know?
All right.
Okay. Alright. Tonight we're gonna catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Yum, macaroni and cheese. Okay. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there would be bound a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? You started eating faster. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's be enthusiastic. You rocked lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after-dinner activity. Catching fireflies was a great way to spend this summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through the darkened sky. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Peasy? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started, but normally she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, and then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. Okay, yes, that's true. That's fair. Fine. Okay. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay?
Duh.
Okay, duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy reads sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the firefly trip after all. Goodness. Okay. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth.
Jeez.
No one's gonna die, sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was.
Huh?
You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Oh, Cove, hi, you're here. Cove smiled at your enthusiastic greeting, and you all hoped Mommy would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was here. It meant he can join you all in catching fireflies. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. What a sweet mom, huh? Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you gonna catch fireflies with us? You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore.
Yeah.
I could do that. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must have not been anywhere where he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What'd you have? Eggs. Oh man, that's it? The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room. Cove? Your dad said you could stay a little while if you'd like, but he's gonna come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you'd hope it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching the figures get farther and farther away. You're so slow, Evie. We don't have all night. Well, Jesus Christmas, lady. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. I would walk with him. You fell behind, sliding up next to him, matching his stride. He noticed right away.
It's okay.
You can go ahead if you want. You smile and shake your head. I don't. After a short while, the two of you reached the hill behind the house. The fireflies were out in full force, floating on the breeze, their gentle glow winking in and out and creating an almost magical effect. Is this the hill where we first met? Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle.
Wow.
Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome both of you to the hill. Hi guys, it's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Shiloh, I don't know. I feel like Shiloh would giggle. You had to admit it was a pretty fun sight, especially when Cove didn't know it was there. What? You gestured to his head and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Cove jumped and then followed after the glow.
Oh.
Oh look! Lizzie has one. That's amazing. Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. I have bandages. Okay, so you had a bandage on your thumb, but you tried to be cautious. You had a bandage on your palm. You had 2 bandages on your hand. Or you were good at not getting cuts. I would say that I didn't have a cut. Sure, okay. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. I would encourage him to try again. You'll get the next one. Did you catch one? You nodded, and Cove gave up his hunt for the moment, coming closer and peering at the insects still crawling across your palm. You held out your hand and he leaned closer, eyes widening a tad behind his glasses. Cove remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hand closer to yours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers lightly over top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. You stayed very still. I don't want to scare the bug, man. Yeah, exactly. The last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. Oh, look, my little bracelet. Cute. Okay. The firefly, noticing the new connection, crawled up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped. It worked. Yeah, you got one. Cove's lips turned into a slow smile and his eyes shined brighter than the bug. Thanks, Evie. With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a friendly smack, performing an awkward low 5. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. Your firefly was gone. Aw, sorry. You teared up? No, you forgave him. It's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Alright, bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another. Okay. Yeah, let's get more. We can work together. His face broke out in a wide grin. We'll get a bunch. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You're having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Evie, this way. You followed the sound of Cove's voice to the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching with his fingers and only narrowly missing his target. Cove and you took turns trying to scare fireflies in the direction of the other. You showed him some techniques that you had learned, like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying for himself. There were a few times when you almost ran into each other, giggling as you dove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was an overall huge success with both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Cove didn't complain. He breathed in heavily and his face seemed really flushed. That was fun, a lot of fun. You smiled at him broadly, happy that he enjoyed the activity. Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Evie, Cove, get up here, we're gonna have a race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing at the top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi.
Cove.
Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important, right? I guess. The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have been just looking for a reason to make someone else be the referee, but it was already decided. I'll stay with Cove.
Really?
Really, why? You don't have to. It's okay, I want to watch. You moved beside him on top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not. Okay, goodness gracious, so salty. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down. Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work, and rolling at a high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which the two of you could reach the bottom first. For which of the two would reach the bottom first? They were both neck and neck until about halfway down the hill. Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad, you got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in.
Ugh.
No! Excuse me, my throat from all this talking. You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the debacle. You caught Cove's eyes and saw I was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. Oh, you could do all of them. Okay. Yeah, boy. Okay. So I'm gonna stop here for this. Just because of my voice. I was thinking about this game all day after I originally played the first episode. And I was just so excited to jump back into it. I really enjoyed so far. I really love the art. I really love the story, and I really love the writing. This is kind of my jam. Also, I like point and click puzzle games and stuff. I remember I played True Fear years ago, and I wanted to post that, but I never ended up doing it. So I'm gonna replay that too. But if you have any suggestions for anything that's similar to this, let me know. I have a couple other things planned, but yeah. Alright, well, thanks again so much for joining. Hope to see you in the next episode. Bye!